Hey, what's up, anime fans? It's your boy, Raysean from the Raysean Gadson Anime Podcast, or RGAP for short. And on today's episode, we're interviewing special guest Davon Oliver, a professional voice actor who was known for Willock, Chainsaw Man, and My Hero Academia. We're diving deep into the world of voice acting, talking about Davon's personal journey, his achievement, and how he got started in anime. We'll also chat about our favorite movie franchises and share tips for anyone out there trying to get into voice acting. If that sounds interesting to you, then sit back and enjoy the ride. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're watching.
Number 4, Eita Otoya.
Hey, what's up? Here's an image. Blah, 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 blah. You think we should stop them?
Was that overboard?
Yeah, too much of my smokescreen. You exceeded the controllable limit.
Okay.
Careful not to let someone use your own attack against you. That's how you lose.
Right.
Because of One For All's growth, things have really gotten out of control. After 8 generations, it's a lot to harness. And of course, since you're the latest on the chain of wielders, that means it's going to be hardest on you, the 9th person to use it. I'd recommend you pull back a bit. Don't forget that most of our quirks aren't ultimate moves on their own. You're putting too much focus on these individual powers instead of the whole. Think of quirks as tools.
Before we get started, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to introduce themselves, basically tell everybody what you do and where you're from, and also tell us your top 2 favorite movie franchises. They can be animated or live action.
My name is Davon Oliver. I'm a voice actor based out of LA and Dallas, go back and forth a little bit, and I mainly do work in anime. Top 2 favorite movie franchises. I have to go with, it's hard because there's so many good movies I watch. I'm a huge just moviegoer, and I think top 2 franchises are both gonna be horror movies because that's my favorite genre.
Oh, okay. I already like you, man.
So one of my favorites. It's so hard to pick because there's so many classics and so many good ones. I feel like it has to be because I want to say Halloween off of the rip, but like there's so many. Okay, I'm gonna go Halloween for one of them, and for the other one, I'm gonna have to give it to Alien.
Okay.
Alien was that whole franchise is so fun. So it keeps expanding. You think they're gonna be done with it, and then they bring it back, and you're like, oh, cool, we got more like lore. What is this? How do we figure this out?
That's definitely a franchise I need to get back into and rewatch. I watched like the first, I think 2 movies, but I haven't like really dived deep into them. But for your first one, Halloween, I mean, I literally rewatch Halloween like every so often. I don't know what it is about the movies that I enjoy so much. I just like a good slasher. I'm a huge fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. I think she's amazing. I'm glad they brought her back for the last few movies. I will say the last one, the middle part is where it's just a little, it's just kind of interesting. But the beginning and the end, to me makes the movie. Like, because I like to see them finally kind of end off the storyline of her low key and finally ending the boogeyman. But it also surprises me because I know that a lot of times in the movie horror movie franchise, like when they make contracts with directors and stuff to make movies, they usually don't allow their villain to be killed off. So I'm surprised they allowed them to be killed. I wonder if they're gonna do a whole like regroup and do a whole new Halloween, have them go after some other people, which I mean that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? I mean Jamie Lee Curtis can't be fighting him her whole life. You know what I mean?
Right. I think it wasn't a reboot, it was a continuation from the first movie. So I think what they said, it was like a little like this is how they would have had it go, or like this is how their story would have gone, which I liked it. I mean, I liked the movies, but I think for me, Halloween, the original run, specifically just the original. Oh no, that's what I have to do. I have to take back Alien. I completely forgot. It's not really a franchise. Well, maybe I won't go Halloween. Okay, I'll go Alien, because Halloween's up there, but I don't know if it's my favorite too. And I'll go Alien, and I'll have to give it to my favorite horror movie of all time. I forgot that it was like a franchise because they keep rebooting it, but it did technically have a couple of strings of movies. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's my favorite. That is my favorite horror movie. That movie and The Thing. Those are my like top two.
I just recently got into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Leatherface movies and stuff like that, and I would say them some very interesting movies. You know what I mean? Just for like a man to be in the basement cutting people's faces up and then like wearing them and stuff like that. And they got newer versions of the movie because I just seen one recently where I guess they were trying to buy a little like town, and like he was part of the town and stuff. And woo, that movie was pretty good. I'm a big fan of Leatherface.
I love Leatherface. There's some remakes they've done that I'm like, this could have stayed on the shelf. You didn't need to. What?
But see, that's why I like horror movies, because horror movies to me, they can just be your amateur movies. As long as they go out there and kill and slash, I never complain. You know what I mean? But when it's like an action movie to me and they're not like the animation's not good or something's not right, oh, I complain heavy. I don't know what it is, but like for horror movies, it just has to be okay for me. Like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I like The Quiet Place. That's another one of my favorites is The Quiet Place, because it was like, I don't know what it is. It's just you can kill them, right? But it's so hard that you're not going to. You're just gonna run away.
It's so funny because I just recently been watching the Conjuring movie series all over again. Oh man, I'm gonna be a bit honest. For me, it's slashers and paranormal activity movies because I find those to be the most scary. They seem the more like, well, more or less a paranormal activity, because that shit is like, you know, if that ever really happened, I think that's the only reason why I'm able to kind of watch those and be like, you know what, this is kind of make believe until I see this shit. If I actually see it, then it's over. Like,
the Cloverfield movies? No, you can. You can.
Oh man, I just recently. Have you watched any recent horror movies that's come out?
I need to go watch. Sinners. That is one that is. It is on my list, and I just haven't had the time yet. But I need to go watch it.
I need to watch it too. I've been watching a lot of those TikToks, and I guess everybody's been like, "Oh, you gotta invite them in," type thing. Which I always thought that was like a whole myth thing about them. So I'm glad to incorporate that in the movie.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love what I've seen just from clips, so I need to go watch it. Barbarian was good. I mean, there's a bunch of good horror movies that came out recently. They did the new Alien movies that came out were fantastic. You know, so I think horror's really been hitting its stride, and I think it started when people stopped doing as much CGI and went back to practical effects for a bunch of their stuff, because the CGI gore just does not work nearly as well as like just I make the syrup and have it squirt out of the wound. Like, you don't need to have it fake be in there. Like, it works, but just never as well.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is about just a whole amateur-ish type of scary movie that just comes to life. Like, I don't know what it is. Because I've recently just watched The Woman in the Yard. I don't know if you you heard. That movie was pretty good. I like the whole angle. They kind of changed it up for it to be like a different signs of like depression, which took me a little bit a minute to understand, because when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh my god, like, who is this person? Like, yeah, like if it was just a random person in my yard, like, this would be a whole fucking problem. Like, what the fuck is going on?
This movie would be done quick.
You know what I mean, man? But I will say, it's great. And one thing I also want to say that I like seeing a lot of more horror movies when they've been incorporating a lot more Black families and stuff like that in them. So I think that's been pretty cool to kind of see how like we will be in these situations, because sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, it just seemed like, why are y'all still in the house? Like,
that was always the joke. You watch an old horror movie and it's just like, oh my god, Jason, run, bitch, what you doing?
You know what I mean? Like, why are we trying to figure out who he is, trying to get his birth certificate license? Like, what are you asking them questions for? You just see
hit him and you run. That's what you do,
man. But see, that's why I've been like, but I've also been watching a lot of Harry Potter movies too. So it's been a mix of everything. But talking about that, I'm gonna go ahead and swing into my top 2 favorite franchises, which first one is The Conjuring. I think The Conjuring movies are amazing. One thing I think is cool is when I first watched them, I never really knew they connected the way they did. So I watched them and from the first to the end, which I will say I don't like the fact that they didn't do them in order, because some of the movies that are like in between or some of the newer movies, so you're like, so we go from this quality to this quality, you're like, it just be flip-floppy a little bit. But I do like sometimes like things that I didn't realize in the first few movies, like it's actually like scenes in certain movies that actually connects to other movies. And I was like, oh damn, how the fuck did I miss this? Like this is pretty right. Cool. Connected all this up. And I can't wait to see how the rest of the movie's gonna come out, because if you think about it, people be like, well, how much longer do you think they can go? I'm like, well, every time they go in that room when they show all the stuff, all that stuff is fucking movies, right? Like we gotta figure out all that stuff got in there. Like how's all that connect, bro? And you don't know. We keep talking about the doll. That doll might not even be the most powerful thing. You know what I mean?
That doll freaky. That doll freaked me out, bro.
It is interesting, man. That's one of those things that somebody just randomly had in their house. You just be like, did I just pass that down? Like, what is that?
I'd walk in, I'd see that, and maybe like, nope. I'm out.
I don't know what that is, man. Why does it keep looking at me no matter where I'm at? Like,
hey, bro, I know that doll was just in the living room. What's it doing in the kitchen?
Oh, I'm gone. Like, you don't even gotta explain. Like, if you start like, I don't know. Yep, we don't even need to be friends no more. Like,
actually, delete my number, actually.
Before we jump into our interview, I want to kind of ask you what you've been recently been watching or listening to or playing. I don't know if you are a big gamer.
I am a big gamer. That started when I was probably too young to be playing video games, because it set my ADHD off, and I was like, this is what I want to do. My grandma mistakenly let me play Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was like, you don't know what you've just done. Bright, flashy colors running across the screen. This is perfect. Recently, I have unfortunately gotten back into League of Legends and Valorant. Very unfortunately.
Ooh, okay. It's taking a lot of your time.
Yeah, a little bit more than it should.
I feel
I try to dabble in Apex, but I just don't have the friends to play it with as much anymore. So mainly I've been playing Marvel Rivals, League, Valorant, and most of my time and money is going towards the One Piece trading card game. I play that nonstop. I never got to play trading card games growing up because I lived in the middle of nowhere, and so all of my friends would buy a pack, open it, and be like, "I got a shiny card!" And now I'm like, "Oh, these have a game, and I can go out and like use the cards I have to play a game and like do little tournaments." So that's my obsession. But probably just that. Repo, obviously, and then a couple little single player games. I have a group of friends that we all just play FIFA. So I recently got into that probably about 2 years ago. I started playing FIFA, and that is unfortunately another game that's super fun and takes up a lot of my time.
We got to kind of dive in a little deep into the One Piece trading card game. What is that like? I've seen like a lot of trading card games. I mean, for like animes and stuff like that, but like I've never like seen anybody play and know like all the rules. It's like it's tournaments and stuff like this. Like that's crazy.
They have some of the cards are stupid expensive, but they're prize cards, so you get them for winning. They have little like beginner events. There's certain little they have pop-ups in different areas, but I know Dallas has one, like an official shop. I think they opened one in California, I want to say it's San Diego. And I think they just opened one in Chicago, something like that. But they have them all over America. They have them in Japan, obviously, all over like they have some down in Mexico. They have them all over in Europe. And so you'll have locals where you take your deck, you build, and you go play at a local tournament that has like 32 people in it. And the top however many people get like little winner packs. Usually I think it's 4. And you get a little winner pack that has a card version of it, whatever that set has, that is different. It says winner on it. It's worth more money, obviously. I got my first one running a D tier deck. It was Sugar, and she's not great, but I like playing her. But then you have your regionals. And if you somehow get into a regional and you somehow get like the top 8 spaces, you get a nationals invite. And then you fly out to LA and then you play in nationals. And if you get like a top 8 spot or maybe 4 spot, I'm not sure on the number of it. If you get a certain placement at nationals, you get a world's invite. And they've had one world tournament where they had everybody, like the best players in the world, group up and just play. And the card prices get ridiculous. Like there's a deck I'm building right now. It's Bello Betty. A lot of people hate it. I used to hate it because I played Nami and it countered her, but long since new stuff has come out and I'm like, Bello Betty's the only thing that's good that is fun for me. And I built it for like $20 because all her cards are stupid cheap. But sometimes you have a deck where all their cards are rare and now you have to build this like $200 deck and it's ridiculous.
God dang. But I mean, would you say yours is like $20?
Yeah, $20.
Does it still give you the same amount of cards that like a $200 deck would have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You get 50 cards to a deck and a leader card. And then you have your 10 little Dawn cards, which are your energy. And yeah, there's certain ones like when I built Sugar, I was like, this is great. I built this for $20. And then I figured out why really quickly because no one was buying the cards because no one was playing her. But
was she like OP? That.
She was not. She was not overpowered. She was underpowered. I don't know how I got that winter pack with her.
Wow.
But I had a friend.
How do you actually play? Like, do you just play cards down and based on life points, that's how you win? Or do they have like packs?
So you have like say I'll just grab a stack of cards I have. Pretend this is 50 cards and not like 10 cards. So what you do is you have your cards. You have your leader, which has certain abilities. It has your leader type, like Luffy is a Straw Hat Pirate. And so you have different card effects on the card that do different things. So you probably can't read it. It's kind of
that's a crocodile.
Yeah, it's crocodile. So he's 4 cost, and you have he has a certain type on there. And he has an on play that's you rest 1 Dawn, return up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less to the owner's hand. That's an on play. So you play that out, you get to do his effect, and you can have up to 5 characters on the board. You have to go however much Dawn you have. So let's say you went second, you get 2 Dawn on your first turn, and then 4, 6, 8, 10, and you max out at 10. The cost up at the top, the little 4, that's how much Dawn you have to rest to play him out. And you're basically just trying to control the board and swing at your opponent because you're trying to get their life cards depending on if they have 3, 4, 5, 6, however much their leader lets them have. You're trying to get them to 0 and then hit them one more time. If they're at 0 health and you hit them, you win the game. So you're just trying to manage the board. You're trying to manage your hand, their hand. You're trying to kill them. They're trying to kill you. It's a lot of interaction. It's really fun. And I never played a card game before this. I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! I didn't play Pokemon. I was in the middle of the woods. I didn't have any of that. So now I have this one that I really like and is really simple to play. And I'm like, oh, this is actually really addicting.
I'm glad you found something to play like that because I've always wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, play them the right way. Like I've always had the cards when I was younger and tried to play people, but it was always just throwing cards down, almost like ID player war type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I play out Pikachu, and Pikachu's gonna swing at you for this much damage, and you're like, what?
Yeah, you just like, well, you know what? If I mix these 2 things, that's blue eyes white dragon. You can't beat that, man.
That's how it works. That's how Yugi did it. That's how Yugi did it.
I mean, it's 2 random like cards. It's like, bro, that's a dragon and that's blue. Why? Why can't? So I'm glad that you found a game and actually go to tournaments. It sounds actually like a bigger thing than what I thought. Like, so each huge. Type of tournament takes you to another turn. How far have you actually gotten?
I've only ever played at locals. I had a friend who went to regionals and got 7th place. And so they got an invite to go to nationals. And I think I want to say the amount, because you get prizing, you know, if you got first, you get a rare card and you get all these other rare cards and then you get, you know, whatever. So the higher up you go, the more valuable the cards you get are. And I think he got 7th at regionals and he was playing against like, you know, people that flew in from out of state, people from here. And I want to say he got like, I want to say the value of the cards he got was like $3.5 grand. And I was like, brother, you went and played a card game and you made bank. What is this?
Do like from the cards, do they give you cards that go with your deck, or do they just give you random cards? Like
certain ones are prizing cards, so it's like you could play them in a certain deck, but if that card's worth 1.2 grand, unless you just have a ton of money, why would you? Because it's like you get this card if you got fourth place at a regional, and then you won't get that card ever again, so it's just rare. But like they made however many of them because they have however many regionals, so they're not there's not one of a kind, but they're rare, so they're worth like thousands of dollars. There's one card that is worth way less than I thought it should be, and it's a Monkey D. Luffy card that is signed in gold by Oda, and I'm like, what is? That's not worth like $1 million, but it's because there's a bunch of them.
Oh, he signed a bunch of cards.
Yeah, so they're worth like I don't know how much they're worth now. How much are they worth? I want to see that. They're worth Oda.
You want to buy one now?
I am not gonna be able to afford that probably. Let's see. Yeah, 1.3 grand. I think I'm good.
Oh, dang! I'm gonna be honest with you. Like that value just surprised the hell out of me.
Right?
Do they keep their value? Like you can sell it on eBay and people paying that type of money?
So ones like that definitely do keep their value. There's one card that came out, I want to say 2 years ago. It might have just been 1 year ago. I'm terrible with time. But it came out and it was worth like a year ago it came out and it was worth just shy, or maybe it wasn't, I don't know. A year ago it was worth about 4 grand, and then it dropped down and it was worth under 3 grand, and now it's back up and it's worth 3 grand again. So it's a little volatile, but most of the time the super rare cards are going to be worth a lot of money.
Oh man, that's crazy thing. Like your deck, you'd be like, man, this deck right here, 100,000.
Right.
Like, what you mean?
I have a little collection of like the leader cards that are worth like $20, $40, $50. I don't have the ones worth a couple hundred because obviously I can't just throw money at the wall. But I've seen people with collections that they're like, oh yeah, I have one of every card in the game. And I'm like, what? And I've seen people that are like, yeah, I have this card. I have a whole page dedicated to this manga card, and so it's a 3x4. I'm like, cool, it's a 4x3, and I'm like, cool, that's 12 cards, and you have 12 of that exact same card. And then I'll look it up. I'm like, brother, that card is worth 1.2 grand, and you have 12 of them.
Oh,
that goes in the safe. Why are you out here on the streets with it? What are you doing?
I will say, I don't know. It might be such a niche that a lot of people wouldn't even know unless you just started bragging about it, and it was like, man, you won't even understand what's in my pocket. And
dude was walking around with a binder that quite literally had a down payment for a house in it, and I'm like, what are you doing, brother? What?
Woo. I would have been like, you know what? You tempted me, God. You are tempted me, Lord.
I've never committed a crime, but I am being tempted right now.
He just flashed it in my face like he ain't never had nothing happen to him. Sometimes we need something to happen to him.
You're about to learn a valuable life lesson.
But before we go ahead and jump into our interview, I'm just gonna knock out some stuff that I've been recently watching and stuff. I just started the show 1,000 Pound Sisters. I'm gonna say that show is very funny. Like I am very entertained by the show. I do like the whole weight loss journey that they're going on and everything, but the whole dynamic within the family, I think is interesting, and the whole like reality behind it. I will say that I'm learning just watching the show, because a lot of stuff that they do actually come public, because I think there's a situation where one of them actually goes to a zoo and then they get caught with marijuana and stuff like that and they're basically doing that storyline within it, but they're keeping certain details out. So then it makes me like, is this really reality? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, are you trying to give us your own spin on the story? You know what I mean? Type of thing. But
right.
I still find it to be an interesting show, and to be one of the shows, because I don't normally watch just regular TV shows on the show. Like, so to find it was pretty cool. For my next one, these are 2 scary movies that I've recently watched. Sick, it's a slasher. It came out during the pandemic. It's pretty good. It kind of keeps a lot of those pandemic storylines in it, and it's I'm not gonna say it's like a 10 out of 10, but if you just want something like a quick little watch and a little scary, pretty good. My next one, I had to say, Afraid. Oh, this one was pretty good. If you guys want to watch anything about, AIs going bad or anything like that, this is the movie. Only thing I will say is this one doesn't have like a body, so it's not like going to be like Megan or anything like that. This is more or less they invite this system in that is basically supposed to be like Siri or Alexa, and it basically takes over the house and kind of like manipulates the family and stuff like that, and then it kind of is like you realize that it's been manipulating everybody and everybody's under its control and shit like that. So it's a pretty interesting movie. You definitely have you watched any of those?
I've heard of Sick. I haven't watched Afraid, but I have heard of it. I remember seeing it, trailer for it. I was like, I'm gonna just stick to my Roomba. That's all I need.
You definitely gotta check it out though. It's pretty cool. But for my first question I want to ask you is what got you into voice acting, and was it something you were nervous about trying to start?
So I knew growing up, because I went through this whole thing of like not knowing what I wanted to do. Like ever since I was like probably 8. I was like, I was being a kid most of the time doing my kid things, but then eventually I'd be like, well, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want to do like long term? Because I would always look at my grandparents and my mom and stuff and be like, they go out and do the same thing all the time. Like, what do I want to do every day? Starting when I'm 8. And that's when I realized, I started playing video games, and I was like, oh, well, I'm watching anime. I was like, wait a minute, there's people doing this. Like, people are dubbing this, and then there's people in Japan making this, and then there's people making the games and putting it out. So I was like, well, acting's kind of cool. I like all these situations. And then eventually I dabbled in theater and improv when I was probably in middle school is when I started. High school, I kind of dipped out of it a little bit because, back then in high school, still now a little bit, but much more back then, late 90s, early 20, high school for me wasn't even that far ago, the 2010s, but early 2000s, early 2010s, it was like, oh, you're doing theater? That's kind of lame. And I'm like, So I stopped doing it for a little bit, but I never stopped doing it entirely. Come college, I'm like, I really need to buckle down and figure out what I want to do. So I go in right before the pandemic and I start doing business. I don't know what I want to do. I'll just do business. That's broad. It'll work out. And then I made friends with my friend Cedric, and he was like, man, there's ain't nobody doing theater no more. We need more people to do theater. And I was like, oh, I'm spending all my free time. I go to work, I go to school, and I watch anime. I was like, 8-year-old me wanted to do that. Let me go back and do that. So immediately I started taking classes. I swapped my major from business to theater, and that's when I kind of started fast tracking it, making it my focal point. And I had never thought about it. I was like, I've been doing this since I was in middle school. Like, I'd consistently done theater every year for like the past decade. What am I missing out on? Like, why am I not doing that? Let me at least pursue this. And I think at that point was when I started taking it seriously. But I know the people that influenced me to do it were watching Dragon Ball, hearing Goku, man, all the yells.
I feel you on that, man.
Colleen doing, because I grew up on Kai. I didn't grow up on the OG. I grew up on the like,
damn. Man. That kind of hurt me a little bit, but okay, keep talking.
But Kai for me was paced better. Kai for me, whenever I go back and I listen to the Namek saga in Kai and Goku's whole speech when he's going Super Saiyan, literal just goosebumps. I'm like, what is this? I want to channel that into my performances. I want to be able to elicit those goosebumps from people and myself. I want to be able to cry in the booth and have people cry with me when they hear it.
I feel you on that, man.
And it was mainly Dragon Ball, and the person I probably know the most of their performances, my biggest influence was Roger Craig Smith. Not specifically for Sonic the Hedgehog, because I knew Jason, I knew Roger, I knew Ryan, I didn't know them, but I knew their performances. But for me, Roger was the perfect blend in everything he did. It was serious, but it was cocky, and it was charming, and it was funny. And I was like, that's what I embody. I always try to be like, oh, I'm going to crack a joke at the right time. I'm not going to crack a joke at the wrong time. But when I do crack a joke at the wrong time, I'm like, yeah, it's my bad. So listening to all of his performances, because he's everywhere in regular show, which I love. And he's Batman in one of the games. He's Sonic, regular show, all these other things. I never realized how much until recently. I never realized how much that Roger influenced me because of how much I heard him and how much I just like embodied that same mentality of the characters he was portraying and how much I enjoyed them. So for me, it was wanting to elicit the feeling and like not even elicit, I'm going through this, watching this anime or this game. Someone created this narrative and this storyline, and they chose me to voice it in English, or if it's only in English and then dubbed somewhere else, the original in English as well. And they chose me to voice it, and I want to be able to go through this journey and feel these emotions because I'm a very emotional person. I want to be able to go through this journey and feel these emotions, and I want to make sure that you can feel those emotions with me. I don't want to just go through and say the lines. I don't want to go through and, just have it be like, oh yeah, I went from point A to point B and I got a paycheck. For me, it's because telling that story and hearing people tell me how a story affected them, and then us having a back and forth, like a conversation about like, oh my God, I love that story. Oh my God, and I
think that's why cons are so cool, because you can actually hear people's like feedback and information. You know what I mean?
It's so good. But also being able to be, just a cog in the machine, being able to make this product with these different creative people was super fun for me. Because it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to sit at my desk and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, which everyone needs to do that. I do that. Everyone, that's how you keep the world going. Yeah. But for me, as how creative I am, it's the feeling of camaraderie with my castmates, the feeling of camaraderie with the directors and the engineers, knowing that we're all going through this journey together and we're all making it work to make this beautiful product. Yeah. That's what I like, is the community of it and all coming together to make it. That's what really speaks to me.
I think that's wonderful. I do think having something where you're just a small piece and then kind of seeing the whole final product of it all together at the end is amazing. And then you get to see what you did and actually see it come to life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
A lot of things you were kind of talking about, like from the Dragon Ball standpoint. For me personally, I've always watched the original. I've watched Kai. I've watched bits and pieces of it, but anytime I rewatch it, I usually rewatch the original version of it. Because I watched it so much, when I watch Kai, anytime they cut a scene that I know is supposed to be there, like that, I have to go back and watch it because I gotta know I'm not losing it. Because I swear there's something right here. But I will say Kai is the better dub version of the show, and it's the most accurate dub version of the show, because if you watch the original, the whole speech you were talking about on Namek is so different. It makes him seem like a superhero, which I always felt like was weird. Like, because I'm like, he's not a hero. Like, he's not. Right. Like, I don't understand where that's coming from.
He's about to save the universe, but he's pissed at you right now. He's not thinking about that.
I mean, this is a fighter. Like this man, like, he doesn't care about the rest of that. But it just happens that's like the outcome of the situation. You know what I mean? But
right.
And then you were talking about the voice actor for Sonic being in a lot of different shows and stuff like that. That's something that I've recently been getting into myself, because when I was a kid, or just years prior, I wasn't really paying attention to voice actors and stuff like that until I've been doing a lot more of these interviews, and now I'm getting to the point sort of where I can kind of hear people's voices like, man, I've heard this in a different anime, this must be this guy, and stuff like that. So I'm kind of getting to that point. But I recently got email from a voice actor that I was trying to do, from Debbie Doomberry. And when I was actually looking at her resume, because she's the voice actress for Jimmy Neutron, and she's done a whole lot of stuff. Like, I didn't realize how many different voices she had been in and stuff like that. Right. It made me realize that, like, you'd be surprised how just one person can literally be the voice in probably all your favorite stuff. And you just really got to take the time to look at their resumes and stuff like that. So I find that to be crazy. But I will say for the show, to me, that made me realize why voice acting is important. And I say this because it's not a notch at Dragon Ball, because I feel like Dragon Ball is my most favorite anime of all time. But when I think of voice acting and great voice acting, I always say Naruto, because I feel like there's a lot of scenes in Naruto that genuinely brought emotion to me, where I was like, okay, this is something right here, because it always makes me think of the scene where you have Naruto talking to Zabuza, and he's basically asking him, "Is like, am I gonna become like you?" And that scene always gets me, because I'm like, damn, like it's all cold-blooded killing motherfuckers. Like, you gonna act like now he's just the worst person in the world. But I just find like that whole scene breakdown is crazy. Then you have the scene where you have Nagato talking to Naruto, and then he hits him with, "What about my family? What about my friends?" And then you're just like, damn, you never really think about that. Like on the other side,
I just thought you were the villain.
Like it just be like, wow. So it's just like moments like that where I'm like, it's just great storytelling. And then I always tell people my favorite version of Obito in the show is where you have him deep voice, and he has the mask on and he has a deep voice. And I literally just did an interview with the voice actor for Obito, and he told me that was actually the voice actor for Madara that stepped in and did his voice. And I was like, oh, I never fucking knew that. But he was like, yeah, that's why the deepness is like really connected to Madara, because that was at the point when he was pretending to be Madara. And
that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
And I never do that, but I was like, that might be the reason why that's my favorite version of him. Like he just seems so more OP, like stronger when he's this deep voice than when he turns back regular. It's like,
it's one of those things, man, where the voice is just like, damn, that is, and then you hear him go like, kidding, and you're like, what?
Man, like, oh, that was probably one of the best scenes right there. Like,
bro, it's so good. It's so good. I love Naruto. That's another one of my goats right there.
But my next question I want to ask you is, what are some pros and cons about being a voice actor that a lot of people don't really think about?
I know a lot of people set themselves up for this expectation that I'm going to go in and I'm going to make it, right? Like I'm going to go in, it's going to be out the gate, like, you know, and some people do have that. Out the gate, they have success. Vigilantes. You look at the lead in that. He's brand new basically to anime acting, and he's in Vigilantes as the lead, you know. Sometimes people have that success right out the gate. And to get that opportunity is something we all want. It's never like, oh, well, I've earned it at this point. Or, you know, sometimes people get jaded and they'll think, oh, well, I just, you know, I've been here for so long. And it's like, yeah, we're all working for it. We're all earning it. So I know I would say a con is sometimes people go into it and expect immediate success. Go in hoping for that. Do not expect that. Because you are not going to go in, 9 out of 10 people are not going to go in and explode, right? They're not going to be, everyone knows them now. And I think the people that temper their expectations are typically the ones that last. I know there's an old interview, or maybe not old, I don't know. Someone was asking Harrison Ford, and I always think about this. I believe it was Harrison Ford. I could be completely misquoting. But they asked him, what is the difference between you and everybody else that showed up? You know, all your peers that showed up in LA with you. And, you know, you're still here, and there's tons of them that aren't. They moved away. They went home. They left. They didn't make it. And he goes, the difference is I'm the only one that stuck around here for 20 years. Like, I'm the only one that stuck here and put in the work and put in the time and, you know, did the waiting jobs and did the different like odds and ends because you needed to. You had to pay your rent. You had to survive. And the people that can temper their expectations and look after their mental health, absolutely look after your mental health, because not having a ton of money gets to people, especially in this economy. Especially in this economy, it gets to people.
And the prices are just keep going up. Woo.
But not just the prices. You need to make sure you're not comparing yourself to other people. Everyone's journey is different. I didn't show up and book a lead, but I'm super happy when I see people do that, because I see them do that. I'm like, good. They got to taste success. There's a peak in a valley. They're coming in on a peak. I hope they survive the valley, because sometimes those valleys are deep and they last for a long time. But then you get another peak and it goes right back up. And people talk about it more now than they used to. But definitely that aspect of it is temper your expectations. Go in, be confident. Everyone's going to bring something different to the table. I'm not going to be able to bring the same thing that my friend's going to be able to bring. That friend's not going to be able to bring the same thing that our other friend's going to be able to bring. We're all going to have our moments to shine. You got to just tough it out, stick with it, and know that if this is really what you want to do, what you're meant to do, you'll be here.
Okay. So basically, it's kind of just waiting for your opportunity to come and then just taking it like that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of hard, especially when you got other people moving up faster and stuff like that. What you think, because a lot of times, what your perspective, Lord, I'm fucking up the word, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. What you are thinking something, but it's not even the real reality of everything. Because I want to ask you, would you prefer to like book leads, but like not get them as like so often, like every once in a while, or book like small supporting roles, but you booking them constantly?
For me, I'm a big like family man. I want to take care of my family. I would absolutely take, if you're going to give me, you can book this lead and he's, this will be your lead for 6 months, 4 months, a year. Or you can book the supporting character, like these characters. I would rather book those constantly, because for me, I don't think, sometimes I would want, let me get the lead, like I really hope I get this lead. Obviously, everybody wants to like carry a show. As an actor, it's not even like a money thing. As an actor, I want to carry a show. I want to prove that like I can put this show on my back and I can be the guy that's there every episode. Me and my castmates and the main cast, we can do this. We can make a good product. But for me, I mostly want to just, I like working. I like doing it. So I would rather be the supporting roles, more consistently, just constantly. And, even the background characters, everyone has to do a background character. I would replace that with an AI. I don't want that. Everyone has to bring it to life. Right. So for me personally, I think a good way to look at it is it's like, sometimes people go, I don't have a lead yet. And it's so easy to look at it like that, because if you go, I've been here for X amount, and this person has been here for less or more, or it took them this long. If you're making it a competition and going, well, it didn't take them as long, that's a completely different person. They have a completely different journey. You have to just go, okay, so I thought it was going to take me this long, but it's taken me less time. Because I went back and I did that. I was like, well, I broke in 2022 and I already have what I have. And I was expected to be here getting nothing for 4 or 5 years. So I'm already ahead of my own curve that I set for myself, which is why I say temper your expectations. If you don't expect, I'm going to get a lead by the end of the first year I'm there, and you don't get that lead, your mental's going to go, shit, I didn't meet that. But when I moved out here, I was like, I'm probably going to go out and I'm going to be there for 3-4 years, 2 years before I even break in, 2 more years before I get a named role. Maybe a decade from now, I'll get a lead. So my expectations are, would I really like them? Yeah. Is it cool to be able to say that? And is it, make money, but my expectations are tempered to where in my head, I didn't think I was going to get a lead for 10 years from now. And I've been here for almost 3. So I'm still ahead of that curve. And I thought now was when I get my first named role, and I have multiple. So it's like, I set my expectations so low because I know how volatile this industry is and how like head to head and competitive people can get, which is completely fine, human nature. But I didn't want to go, I'm going to get this and rush myself. I wanted to just enjoy the ride. And that's what you have to do. You have to just let yourself enjoy it. Don't get something and immediately latch on to, well, this show's coming out and I really want this. You can't do that. Even if I fall into that sometimes, I'll be like, I really want this, but that's human. We love a character. We love a story. We want to be able to portray it. That's completely human. But if you do that for just every odd and end show or just like everything you see and you're like, oh, well, this is cool, you're going to start hitting yourself with just like upset. You're gonna be, I didn't get this one. I didn't get this one. I didn't get. You can't go through that because that will bog your mental health so bad.
For sure. I know. I mean, trying to get into this field and understanding that, you know, rejection is part of the game and that you're not going to get everything that you want, and being able to accept those no's, because this is majority a no industry. You know what I mean?
You get 99 no's for your first yes. That's usually the rule of thumb. And I was like, 99, that's a lot. Then you realize how much product is coming out every year, how many new stories. And I'm like, 99 is a good amount of no's for one yes.
Yeah, because the amount of times if you audition as much as you're supposed to and how much you like really pitting in the game, 99 probably goes by pretty quick. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 99 flies by.
The next question I want to ask you is, I wanted to ask about your experience working on the Blue Lock franchise. How did you get in that role, and were you a fan of soccer before getting into it?
I had my big sport that I watched was basketball as a kid, but I did watch the World Cup, and I did watch, you know, the Copa America. I watched, you know, the Euros sometimes, the big tournaments. Now I am a diehard AC Milan fan. Unfortunately, we're like 9th in the table right now, but we did win today. We made a comeback. It was okay. I'm okay with it. But I was a soccer fan. Football. I call it football now. As a kid, I called it soccer, but I didn't realize. But I'm a football fan, and I will say it definitely. I became more of one after I booked Otoya, and still before that, I became one after I picked up the manga, because it was I realized, oh shit, this is amazing. This story is fantastic. And I've always been like competitive. I've always loved sports. I still play sports. And I realized how much fun football is. And when I finally got the email, like, oh yeah, you've been cast, I was like, oh shit, this is sick.
So did you read the manga before?
The anime came out, and I watched the first 3 episodes, or maybe I think I binged more than that. I can't remember what episode it was, but it was whenever Chigiri decides he's going to play again, he's going to run.
Oh, when he broke out of his thing.
I watched that episode, and I was like, nah, fuck this, I got to read it. And so I just binge read it. I went through and I just read it all the way up, and I caught up, and I've been caught up for years. And I have been sitting there going, motherfucker, what do you mean there's a delay this week? I can't take this. Like, I'm caught up to it. I'm so invested. I'm not even invested in Isagi. I'm invested in Otoya. I'm like, bro, just what do I do? What do my friends' characters do? Isagi's not even my favorite Shido, because he is based on my favorite footballer of all time. The one I latched onto as a kid. Wasn't Messi, it wasn't Ronaldo. They are the best in the world. I latched onto Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and there's a goal that Shido scores that it's quite literally Zlatan scored it against, I want to say it was England. I can't remember, but it was the one where are you caught up on season 2?
Yeah.
It's the one where Gagamaru comes out of the box and he headers it away, and then Shido does that bicycle kick and it curls in over Rayo. That happened in real life. That was like 2013. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he was running up. That exact scenario happened. Goalkeeper pushed out, headed it away, and he just turned around and did a bicycle kick, and it curled in. It was the most beautiful goal. For me, I'm like, that's the best goal that will ever be scored. That is nothing amazing. Will ever top that. And so to see that in the anime, I was like, this is peak. This is peak fiction.
Oh, I'm a huge Blue Lock fan. I wish they would have did a little bit better with the animation for the season 2, but I will say they ended off on a great notch.
We got that one fantastic matchup, man. We got that beautiful matchup.
I'm a huge Isagi fan. Oh, I might be fucking the whole name up. Isagi. One of my favorite scenes with him actually came in this season 2, where he kind of like, what the fuck, you're gonna help us win, like when he was talking shit back to the coach. I love that scene because it was like he finally got his egoless right there. You know what I mean? The person that he's been trying to shape and create is like right there in front of him. So to see that moment get to the point where he literally kind of steals the goal at the end, because I say that a lot. He stole that goal like out of nowhere. Because the amount of like fighting it took him to be able to get the ball away for somebody to come out of nowhere and just But I mean, it gets y'all to win because I mean, it was literally on the last.
Nobody else saw it. Nobody else thought it was gonna go there. That was set up from whenever he told Bachira. He's like, I knew that you would get here because I'm the only one that believed in you. So he was like, "Where's the open space? Let me find it. God, please let this ball fall right here."
And then I mean, and I love how they come out of nowhere. They were like, "Luck." He was like, "Yep, that's exactly what the fuck that was."
Preparedness meets opportunity, baby. Let's go.
Man, and literally I love him, and I'll say Ren. I think Ren is real good. I like Nagi. And then we just talked about him with the red hair. Chigiri. All my favorite characters right there, and they're literally all they were in this last season. So I don't know what's going to happen to them further down, and I hope they all be able to stay within the competition, but you know,
right. Chigiri speaks to me. I never had an injury like that, but I've had multiple moments where it's like you've given up on yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, I can't, and then you have someone else being like, really? Whether it's a family member or like a friend, you know, they're like, really? You've come this far and now you're gonna give up? Why are you even in Blue Lock, man? If you're not gonna try, why are you here? And he's like, you know what? Fuck you, I'm just gonna run until I can't run anymore. And it's like, there you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah, but sometimes I do like the perspective of sometimes I feel like people be trying to tell you how you should feel about your injury when they don't have that injury, and you're like, how do you know you would just jump back into it? You ain't lose your leg. You're like, you never had this injury. So like, how can you just tell me you would jump right back into it? Like,
there's an alternate universe where Chigiri goes to run and his leg just tears.
That would have been horrible.
I would have had my heart broke. He'd have been like, let's go, leg. Oh.
To me, I think that would have just changed the whole like feel of Blue Lock, because you'd be like, oh yeah, I guess they're keeping it real now. Like, you know, now every time you run, it's gonna be together. That'd be crazy, man. And then he'd be like, I told you I couldn't go 100% no more.
Now I have to have crutches.
Crazy. Oh, but my next question I want to ask you is, you also had the opportunity to work in one of the longest running anime franchises going out right now. I'm not sure if any other anime is going to even make it close, because right now it seems like we're in a trend of everything ending shortly, which is kind of heartbreaking, but I understand if you created one story and that story ends, it's like let's let it be, because I don't even know if I'm gonna be here in the next 5 years to end it. You know what I mean? So
on to the next story.
I feel that, because you can argue Dragon Ball probably could have stopped a few times. You know what I mean? But
could have stopped after the Buu saga. Could have stopped after the Cell saga. You know.
And it kept going, and now our creator's dead, and now they're trying to figure out what they want to do. And sometimes I'm like, if we could have just ended it at a nice little piece, and then we can do something different. Because me personally, I don't think you should work on something if the creator's not here. I just feel like that's just not something you should do.
I think he did. Didn't he pass it on? He was like, I can't remember the name of the gentleman who's working on it now, but I think
Otaro.
Something like that. I believe Akira Toriyama was like, he's going to continue writing it. I trust him. His art style's fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
So I with that's where I have the exception for it, where it's like, if the original creator was like, this person will keep working on it, I'm like, okay, you know, but if someone else just randomly picked it up, I'd be like, no.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's kind of hard for me, but what I wanted to ask you for my question before I kind of just jumped off a little bit is you've been working in One Piece. I wanted to ask you, how has that experience been? Is that something that you were also into before you actually got the voice in it?
So some of my friends dog on me a little bit because I am not caught up on it. I have not watched all of it. I tried to watch a bunch of it during the pandemic, and my brain was like, I just want to play video games. So
how far did you make it?
I got past Arlong Park.
He stops about where everybody stops for some reason. That is so interesting to me. Okay.
I watched it. I was like, this is great. and then I watched all the way up to Arlong. I was like, this is fantastic. I know the whole story with how they got Sanji. I know the whole story with Mihawk showing up, and that's about what I remember.
You didn't get to Alabasta?
No, I didn't make it to Alabasta.
Oh.
And my friends will dog on me because they're like, you're in the show. You played the card game. And I'm like, I know.
That's interesting. Now that I think about it, that really is interesting. So, like, are you more like, do you know what's going on because you play the card games, Loki?
So I know what's going on because I played a bunch of the old One Piece games with my friends. And, you know, they have the whole, in every game, you have to watch, and I never even met this character, but he's my favorite character. In every game, you have to watch a certain character die over and over and over again because it's such a pivotal point when he gets that magma fist put through his chest. Okay. I was like, I played the game so much that I know everything that happens up pretty much to that point. And then because I'm in Wano, I know the story of Wano. I know that whole arc. I know all the backstory it gave us for that character. I know all the backstory it gave us for Roger, for Odin, for Momonosuke, for, you know, Yamato. I know everything for all of those characters. But
you're not on the new arc.
I haven't caught up to it yet. I've watched a little bit of it, but I stopped after Lucci came back and they had that little fight. So pretty quick into it, I kind of stopped, but that's just because I got busy and I was like, I'll come back to it later. But I want to go back and rewatch it. I think for me, the thing that turned me off of One Piece was I was watching it and it's fantastic. You know, it is one of the best written stories of all time. The world building that Oda does is insane. He'll go, hey, you remember 500 episodes ago when this thing happened and you haven't thought about it in about 5 years? Well, it's back and it's really important now. And to me, that's insane world building. I love that. But I think the way that the animation was handled for some of the arcs, for most of the arc, it's fantastic. There's some times where I'm like, oh, we could probably sped this up a little bit. And I think just for my ADHD, that's where it goes away. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything about it. I think what they did was amazing. But for my ADHD attention span, it's like, all right, I watched like 60 episodes. I need to take a break. I'm a little burnt out. Okay, I'll come back and I'll watch another 60 episodes. Okay, I need to take a break. I'm a little bit burnt out.
And say that can only be just like one arc, you know what I mean? Like even,
right, and sometimes less. I mean, like the arc with the Sugar, the leader I was playing in the game, the arc with her's like 100 and what, like 38 episodes. I'm like,
because
I can't binge watch that.
Del Rosa, if I'm thinking,
yeah,
right.
I think so. Dressrosa,
Dressrosa
with the Doflamingo pirates.
Mm-hmm. See, the way I watch One Piece is the most interesting way because I usually watch all the beginning, where he's basically collecting all his friends and stuff like that. And then when it gets to the point where you get to Marineford, then I kind of skip through some arcs because I'm like, yeah, this is kind of boring, or skip through some episodes. I watch some of the important episodes. And then I whatever I don't want to watch, I feel like it's filler, I just skip it. Because I was like, I don't need this episode. I pretty much watch enough anime and I read the manga too, so to kind of keep up with what's actually going on, because I kind of just got back into it and I watched I'll say about part 1 of the Egghead arc, where we got up to the point where Kizaru is about to come to the island. So I watched everything up to that point, and I've been watching clips and stuff where I guess you got Garp showing us what he could have done, like at Marineford, because he actually getting active. Because
the Garp walk is insane.
That right,
the amount of aura.
One thing I will say is One Piece has said we are going to compete with everything. I mean, we are not going to lack in animation and just creativity, because that within itself literally made me go back and say, yeah, I need to go ahead and watch Egghead. It wasn't even to see Gear 5. It was literally to see what Garp could do, because this man, when I seen him like almost destroy that island, I'm like, this is what he was holding back like this whole time. Like,
bro, it's crazy. It's insane. I mean, you even think about you even think about all the other characters that aren't Garp, that aren't Luffy, that are still putting up numbers like that. I mean, I think it's funny when Lucci came back and was like, yeah, I got an upgrade. What you gonna be? He's like, bro, you about 3 upgrades short. What you talking about? I got gear 5 now.
I do like the fact that he had that awakening though, because if he would have came back with the same Rob Lucci he was from then, it would be like, why he shouldn't have needed gear 5. So
right.
But I do like the fact that we're getting to see Zoro fight him, because to me it's showing that, you know, Zoro's actually coming up the ranks and like power level. Like, I low-key think Zoro might low-key be a Yonko within his own right. The fact that what he was able to do with the Blackbeard, the way he's able to kind of hold off the Rob Lucci, and I think he also gets a moment with the Sing Saturn that comes up. So I mean, like, I'm low-key thinking that Zoro low-key needs to be up there. Like,
I mean, you look at Luffy and everybody goes, okay, Luffy's at the top, and then you got his wings. You got Zoro and Sanji. I'm like, Zoro and Sanji are kind of up there, dog. Like, you look at them and look at how they were moving during Wano. Look at them back then. Sanji versus Queen, Zoro versus King. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they should be up there with them.
Low key, because I mean, the only thing that's really holding them back is just like an awakening, or just really, I mean, what Garp just showed, really, they just need to unleash their Hawkeye. Once they figure out how to really master that, because that's the only time I seen it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's all you need.
You told me Garp could wipe a whole civilization off the planet? What you talking about?
Because it make you really understand when it was like he was one of the few people that could have fought the Pirate King. Because now it gives you a baseline of how strong maybe the Pirate King was. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
I mean, you look back, what he's doing now. He's like, yeah, I've been this strong. And then you look back. I love. What was it? What happened? It was during that Marineford, I think.
When what's his name stopped him? Or are you talking about when he stopped him?
Yeah, whenever he stopped him. You go back and you look at the walk he did just now, and then you look back in Marineford, it was the same shit. Yeah. And so they stopped him, and they were like, you finna kill everybody. Nobody's leaving this bitch alive. You gotta stop.
And then it also makes you think about that moment where he's like telling Luffy, like, if you want to get past me, you're gonna have to punch through me or something like that. And it's like, man, Garp never really showed you. But one thing I will say about One Piece that I find to be the most interesting and to probably be one of the best characters I've seen is Blackbeard. I think Blackbeard is so interesting in the fact that you don't know what he knows, but he knows some shit.
But he knows something.
Because it's like the man is doing some crazy shit behind the scenes. Bro, but the fact that he has a whole crew, everybody got devil fruits. The man know how to take them, steal them from other motherfuckers. Nobody else know how to do that. I guess maybe Vegapunk maybe, but I don't know how Blackbeard came up with that knowledge. And it just seemed like he's just been behind the scenes just doing whatever he wants to do. And I guess his plan to take out Garp, because you got to think that was low-key his plan to take him out, but low-key, I guess they kind of underestimated the situation low-key, but
bro, sometimes people sleep on the Navy. Like, I know we all know that like Kizaru's strong, and we all know like Aokiji's strong, and we all know that like Garp's strong and everything. But like, I mean, you remember whenever who's
Kobe?
Bro, Kobe's been training under Garp. You're gonna tell me he can't do some of that stuff?
Oh man!
But you look at Kuzan. Whenever I think it was Kuzan, the ice dude. Look at him whenever he pulled up on the Big Mom Pirates, bro. What happened to Cracker?
Yeah, you gotta give him their props. But I will say that I always like I don't know. This narrative of like the new can never match up with the old. You know what I mean? Where it seemed like the old generations is actually where the power was low key. Because the fact for him to just come out and just be that strong is just. You can tell a lot of them was like, nah, we did not. I mean,
you look at the old generation. The old generation's crazy. You got Kuzan riding a fucking bike across the ocean, and you got fucking Mihawk in a coffin just by himself sailing across the ocean.
That's another one we still don't even know his full levels of what he can capable of, man.
Bro, like you're telling me that you don't think that they're moving crazy in their prime, dog?
Man,
bro is biking across the ocean.
I mean, Shank lost an arm, and that didn't even break him down a rank.
Bro, Shanks lost an arm and still one-shot one of the new gens. What are you talking about, bro?
It's crazy out here, and it just makes you think, man. We're kind of getting to that last few pieces to the end of the story, so it's kind of crazy to see how
if Anel comes back with like moon people, bro. Anel's my goat. I love Anel. I didn't get to his arc, but I watched enough clips. I love Anel.
I do like Anel. I will say that he literally had the worst opponent ever.
Bro, lightning versus rubber, bro. Lightning versus rubber.
Worst opponent. I thought that was amazing how that played out. But moving on to my next question. What emotion do you find hard to portray?
What emotion? Let me think. I think I've gotten better at portraying anger, like on the spot. Like if I need to act it out, there's still times where I have to like work my way into it. So that's probably one of the more difficult ones. I feel like for me personally, it's probably anger, because like I can if I'm in an intense scene, if the energy is high, right, then I can be angry on the dot, flip of a switch. But if we're talking about like a calm scene and I need to be calm angry, that's fine. But if it's like a low tension scene and I need to be like seething, sometimes it takes me a couple tries to be like, oh, that's what I'm doing, because I won't be angry enough. Or, you know, and I don't want to go too angry because I don't want it to be like this calm scene and all of a sudden I explode. And that's like, no, you're not that mad. What are you talking about? But I think getting to the middle ground portion of it is where it's a little bit more difficult, because if you're telling me you want me to go 100, I can go 100. If you're telling me you want me to go like 25%, I can go 25%. If you're like, be 50% angry, I'm like, what does that sound like right now? Because that changes depending on if we're in like a loud combat scene, I can do that. If we're in like a quiet, awkward moment and my dude's just a little pissed, that might be a little more niche, a little more hard for me to do. But I think probably any emotion, 50% takes a little work to get used to, but probably anger.
Okay. I always get a lot of interesting responses to this question. I've heard laughing, I've heard crying and stuff like that. So trying to get like a medium anger level, I can understand that, because you it's different versions of anger and what comes out of you depending on how angry you are. So it's like, so am I at the anger when I'm seething? Am I yelling? Am I shouting? Am I cussing? Or am I just, keeping a low voice and just keeping it in type of thing? Like, it's different versions of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, you can even have calm rage, like Teen Gohan in the Cell Saga. That motherfucker wasn't yelling; he was talking, but you could tell he was pissed.
Yep. But my next question I want to ask you is: you are also part of the My Hero Your Next movie, which I've also gotten to interview Mauricio. I think
Mauricio Ortiz Segura. I love that man.
He's amazing. I love talking to him. I think we've had like 2 or 3 discussions just talking about My Hero. And it surprises me, like, when you get to talk to some voice actors and they're very knowledgeable about anime and manga and stuff like that, because it surprises you when you meet some that aren't, you know what I mean? Because then that's why I try to keep my conversations and discussions kind of open for everybody and stuff like that. That's why I try to make sure I ask before, are you into anime and stuff like that? So I'm not just jumping into it and you're like, well, okay. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
How was it like being in that series, and was it fun? And did you get to see it on the big screen?
I did get to see it on the big screen. I had a couple of lines in that movie, I think 1 or 2, but being in that series that's something that I remember when it came out, because I mean, me and Mauricio's younger than I am, but I'm on the younger side. So I remember when that movie came out and I was just doing homework watching it in high school. You know, Mauricio was probably just figuring out what high school was when it came out. But when it came out, I remember liking it and I remember being really into it. And I remember Clifford Chapin specifically. I really like Bakugo. And I remember whenever Clifford Chapin's performance as Bakugo happened, I was like, man, forget Deku. I like this dude.
I feel
I watched it and then I stopped watching it because at the time that I stopped watching it, there were a lot of very strange things that because I'm on the internet way more than I should be. So I'm big into meme culture and I'm big into like anime culture, stuff like that. And I remember some of the stuff happening that everyone was like, My Hero fans. And I was like, maybe we don't do that. But I think as anime has gotten more mainstream, and even back then, I should have never stopped watching it, right? Who cares if a couple of very strange things happened? It's still a good show, and 99% of the fan base is amazing. Yeah. Same with every property. 99% of the fan base is amazing. I can't think of a single thing where, 100% of the fan base is great. You can look at any anime, Dragon Ball, we're fucking weird. We're like, oh, you can't beat Goku, and we'll die on that hill, and we'll look stupid doing it, right?
Dragon Ball is the most hectic franchise. You can't have an opinion. That's what I say about that. Just leave it alone. Because,
right. You look at Sonic. I've been a diehard Sonic fan since I was a kid. We're fucking weird. A lot of our fandom is insane. The first time you got us to unanimously agree on something was when we didn't like how he looked at a movie. That's the first time we agreed on something as a whole.
Yeah, I gotta change though. I gotta give y'all that power. Y'all was not playing. Whew.
Right. But I should have just kept watching it because I remember I stopped and I came back to it because I was in high school. I saw a couple of people be like, "Oh, My Hero fans are weird," and I was like, "Okay, I guess I got to protect my image." Now I don't care about that. My Hero fans are weird. Cool, yeah, we are. We're strange. We're strange people. Everybody's strange. Every fandom's gonna do something weird. But My Hero and the people that like My Hero, you will never find someone more passionate than someone who just loves My Hero. That's something you have to give them because they know fucking everything about that show and they love not every single character, but they can find a moment from each season where they're like, this moment like inspired me. This moment like changed my perspective or changed my life. And that's shit that I love. I love it when people can do that. High school me should have just been like, yeah, I should be doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I think being in My Hero is special for me because I grew up with it. It was the first thing that I remember being like, I remember when this came out and I was watching it when it came out, the day it dropped. And I grew up with it, right? Like the latter half of my teenage years, I grew up with it. And it was special to me. And then when I got to do bits for it, Walla, background characters. And I remember whenever I got a call to go in and work on it, and it turned out I had a named role, I was like, oh shit, okay, cool, I have a name. And then I realized my named role is really important to the story. I was like, oh shit, what? Okay. And then I realized as the manga wrapped up, I was like, oh shit. So like all of my story hasn't even happened yet. I get to, because I realized I have like a whole little arc with Deku. And I was like, this is insane. This is something that 16-year-old me would have been like, oh, I'm in it? Like, what? And it's stuff like that it's like, going back to it, the moments where like the weird kids that like it, right? I want to be able to have the weird kids walk up to me and be like, yeah, man, your performance really like inspired me. It really like, it tugged on my heartstrings. And I can be like, I remember exactly where I was, what weird kid I was watching Bakugo cry for the first time. Like that shit touched my heart. And I want to be able to give that. I want to be able to give that to the people that watch it. And I think for me, My Hero is one of my favorite stories of the newer generation. I understand nothing will ever be a big three. Everyone's like, we have the new big three. No, nothing will ever do the numbers and make the moves for the anime industry that One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach did all at the same time.
True. I'll give you that.
I think My Hero is one of the goats of the new gen.
I don't know why. I always got to throw that there. I always got to. When anybody say the big three, I always feel heartbroken because I'll be like, I don't understand how Dragon Ball isn't in that. Like, but
because Dragon Ball is the granddaddy to that. Dragon Ball inspired. Dragon Ball, you can find bits and pieces of Dragon Ball in every shonen. Not even shonen, yeah. You can see it's referenced in Amazing World of Gumball. It's referenced in all these different video games where they go Super Saiyan. And I'm like, it has inspired people. And then the same thing with One Piece, the same thing with Bleach and Naruto. There's little references like with Bankai, with the Rasengan, with the Straw Hat. It's all over media. Nothing will ever do numbers like that again. And for me, it's like whenever the weird people like their weird things, and now it's mainstream, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, well, this is cool. We were getting called weird 8 years ago.
Yeah, I thought it was calling us all this stuff because we was doing a Naruto run and all this. Now everybody want to do it. Okay.
Headband off. When did you start watching Naruto? Right now? 32? I bet you were making fun of me back then.
Man, I will say, like, I'm on that mixed wagon where I started really watching anime after high school, but like before that, like I've watched Dragon Ball, but I wasn't really watching the other shows. Like I didn't watch Naruto until like after high school and stuff, and really got into it. And I will say, man,
I didn't know what anime was.
Me too. Now I'm basically in that category. It was just something I wasn't really into. I think I watched more live action shows at that point, and then I got to a point where I was in college and you just get bored and stuff, and you start trying out new things. I think it really happened when Super had came out, and when Dragon Ball Super came out, and then that's what made me really start watching more shows from different stuff and stuff like that.
Ultra Instinct, bro. Chills down my whole body, bro. What?
I see. My favorite part is not even like the Ultra Instinct part. It was his fight with Kit when he's like Kaioken times 20. Oh, I love that moment because I always feel like that moment is more hyped.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic moment in that series.
Winding down to our last two questions. For my next question, I want to ask: is there any advice you want to give to anybody that wants to become a voice actor? I know everybody's route to becoming a voice actor is different, but what have you seen that you think a lot of people could do that could help them in the industry?
I think the normal answer, and it's correct, that you get is to study the people that do this. Like, study the properties. You absolutely, if you want to do commercial work, watch commercials. If you want to do anime, watch anime. If you want to do video games, play video games. Like, if the more you consume of a genre, that's what your acting will lean towards, because that's what you're consuming. But I think it's most important, do theater, at least just a little bit, improv, something. Do like the groundwork. What we wouldn't have anime without, live action. We wouldn't have live action without theater. We wouldn't have, comedy without improv. You need those chops. So study all of that. But experience is the best teacher. And for me, you need to experience life, because I got into this really young. You look at the average age of people doing anime, like ever since I was a kid, and then even now, it's people like late 20s, 30s. I broke in when I was 22. I was inexperienced in life. I was inexperienced in general, and so the more you go out and do, the more you work a day job, and you go, I hate this day job. I wish that acting would take off, or I hate this day job. I wish streaming would take off, but you take that everyday experience that you have, right? Your everyday experience, the anger you felt at work whenever someone did something that pissed you off, or, oh, you got written up for something you didn't do and you're really sad about it, or, oh, you're really happy that this thing went well with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or, whoever, your partner. But you take all those emotions and then you get put into a scene where they're like, you need to portray this emotion, and you can pull something from your memory, nothing that harms you. Like, don't pull from a super traumatic event and have a breakdown in the booth. Do not do that. That's not healthy for your mental health. But you can pull from something because you've experienced life. You can go, oh, I'm having a breakup scene. Pull from a breakup you had. Oh, I'm like really angry in this scene. Pull from an argument you had. Or sometime you were mad at your coworker or mad at a guest for being like, the customer's always right. But like, you're right. Pull from that. You need to experience life. Don't just go, I'm getting through this so that I can do that. You need to coincide, because you're not going to be able to breathe life into this anime or this video game or this project if you're just letting life pass you by and you're not pulling from it. Because the thing that separates us from just like AI or just like putting something together and being like, oh, look, they did the acting, is to make it feel it. If you can't pull those emotions and put it into your job, it's going to be flat, right? Like you sound angry, but it sounds like fabricated anger because you don't know how to pull that anger. You let it pass you by. You forgot about it. You're like, this is separate from my acting life. You got to have them coincide.
That's a great answer. For my next question, I want to ask you, what ambitions or goals do you have yet to fulfill in the field of voice acting?
paying my bills with only acting.
I feel that.
What ambition? I want to be not even necessarily the titular character. I want to be in a AAA game because I want to be in a AAA game. I want to be in, the next big shonen hit. I want to do. I think my ambition. I'm not satisfied that's a reference to Isekai in the manga. I'm not satisfied because once you become satisfied, that's when your like passion fizzles out. Once you become satisfied, you're not going to have that drive. Well, I want this. I want another one. I want to do something bigger. I want to be in this genre. So I feel like my ambitions will never be satiated because I want to do so much. And a new story will come out and I'll be like, I love this story. Oh my God. And I let it go. I want to be in something like that. I never go like, there's times where I'm like, I want to be in this project, Dragon Ball, like the main series, or like, Gachiakuta is a big one coming out that I've been reading, and it's great. There's people that are like, I want to be in Chainsaw Man, Kaiju number 8. We all want those, right? Because the stories are so amazing that I don't know if I'll ever have my ambitions stop. Because my ambition that I have not fulfilled is I want to have that moment that I'm talking about. And I might, depending on how it gets animated, I'm unsure, if it will or not the way I've thought about it. But it's going to be a great moment, and I'm going to get that moment. There's a scene in My Hero coming up that my character has that ends off his little arc he gets. And so I've been sitting on my hands, burning holes in my pockets. Like, this scene is going to be so good. It's going to be so great. And I cannot wait for those moments. And I just want to have moments like that. I don't want to just have one. I want to have multiple moments throughout my career that I can look back when I'm 70 something and go, that was a great moment. That was a peak. That was a peak. That was a peak. That was a peak. And I still want more. I'm 72. I don't sound like that anymore, but I want to do it again. I'm never going to have that ambition run dry, I feel. So I don't, everything. I have everything that I want to achieve.
That's amazing right there. So that's one thing I've been telling people. When you really find something you want to do, that's something that no matter what type of day it is, no matter what the weather is outside, what's going on in your family life, you still want to do this, and that's your passion. So that's one thing I'm personally trying to find myself. I will say this podcast has helped me get closer to figuring out what that is, and I'm just learning every day, trying to figure out the things that I don't like, trying to move in more to the things that I do like. But a lot of the things that I do like just take more of me gaining the confidence to do them. So that's
confidence is key.
That's basically what I've been trying to and hone to people that listen to this podcast, but also trying to get myself to get to that point to do. And that's why this year I'm trying to take on a lot more challenges to do things that I've been wanting to do. Like, we still got an open mic that we need to do in the next 2 months. So hopefully that gets knocked out. So that's the one thing that's just been, oh man, I keep playing around with, because it's just seems very nerve-wracking for me. But It's one thing I've always wanted to try and do. So I need to just go ahead and do it. But with that basically wraps up our interview. I don't know if there's any other topics or anything that you wanted to discuss before we wrapped up or anything.
No, I really enjoyed this. It was covered a lot. It was really fun.
It was fun. I think we had a lot of side convos that ditched into other stuff, but it was fun. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what makes a discussion and makes an actual episode really cool. When it's all robotic and question to question, moving next to next. It's just, you know what I mean? But
yeah, you gotta have that collaboration in there.
And with that, I want to end today's episode. I want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. I had a lot of fun and learned so much more about the industry of voice acting, and hopefully you listeners did too. Before we close out, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to plug himself and basically tell the audience where they can find you.
You guys can find me at Davon Oliver VO on Twitter, or Where is Davon on Instagram. That's Instagram. Yes, it is. Those are the only two things I use. I don't know why I confused myself.
Well, I know a lot of people were making that Blue Sky accounts and stuff like that when all the Twitter stuff was going on. I don't know. Did you make a Blue Sky? See,
I have one, but I don't use it.
That's what I knew that was gonna happen. I knew a lot of you were gonna make them accounts and not really keep up with them. But I'm glad. That's just funny that happened that way. I'm gonna post all his links and stuff below. If you guys want to ask him any questions about any of the series or anything about voice acting, you guys can go ahead. And with that, I just want to say peace.